Hey guys, Possible here. So, the other day, we all just learned that PS4 mods were coming out, and everyone was excited and hyped about it. It was like the best announcement ever. I was excited about it. However, then I read a little bit further into it, and from what it appears, I think that the suspicions that Bethesda was making a lot of arguments with Sony, and the reason why it was so delayed is simply because they're very concerned about security issues and possibly even bricking the system. We already had reports of Xbox One users losing their Xbox system Fallout 4 mods. Now we've got this situation. And I can understand Sony's concerns. They've been hacked. All these secret details are now publicly known. It's crazy. And so I can understand their concerns. But at the same time, you learn from this that while we've got it, compared to say PC and Xbox, it's even shittier. Even the Xbox has got its 2 gig memory restriction. Well, this is worse. Instead, they're preventing you from installing any mods that use external assets. So you want that really cool Tales of the Commonwealth mod that gives you all the options and new companions and new quests and awesome dialogue. No. Oh, you're looking at Maxwell's mod, Maxwell's World, when it's actually patched and it's all working fine and it's got all these intriguing aspects of this haunted area and you have to find out the truth. Nope, that's not going to happen. You're not going to get that option. Instead, you get the option to get useful mods. I think that one moderator on 7's gaming forum put it to me, that's completely false. No, you will be getting useful mods. Like the cheat console, because that's exactly what I really wanted. I just wanted to fucking cheat on the game. And yeah, I know, that's a bit hypocritical thing possible. Yeah, talking about that when you've already put glitches on about these kind of problems. Even so, but some of them glitches are actually workarounds Bethesda's problems in some, for example, Nuka World. But you look at this. Here's another thing. The only thing I can really see from it is just tweaks, in-game tweaks. And what the compromises on companions? They'd probably just be fucking... If you can't put audio at all, then what do you get at the end of the day? You have to put fucking subtitles. Are you really expecting us to enjoy Tales of the Commonwealth on PS4 with nothing but fucking subtitles? Are you serious? And that's supposed to be better or acceptable? And let's be honest here, useful. Are we nothing but glorified fucking bug testers and patchers for Bethesda? For free, of course, not without pay. Not simply because we are passionate about the fucking game. As much as I love Bethesda and some of the games that they've made, I don't personally think it's my personal responsibility to work for free to fix a product that they built. It is their obligation as a company to fix their shit. Yet you tell me you're useful. I understand. I get it. You're trying to rationalize everyone. And even them are trying to sell it off and saying, oh, as most mods do. Of course. That's not really the case here. I see Fusion City, Xander's Aid, Tales of the Commonwealth, Maxwell's World, even though I've already talked about how much I find the bugs in it a bit break the immersion for me so much. And no one, of course, liked my opinion. Oh, well, 2 people like my opinion, alright. But at least I can understand. I can understand why, because look, it's done for free. It's done for the passion of it, and it's quite exceptional in comparison. Even Fusion City, in some regard. Here's the thing, just briefly. At least they're all working, but that's off topic. And I want to start on this problem. If you get a situation where you're trying to build something great and creative, and it extends the life of what you're trying to do. In a game like this, because that's the reason why Skyrim is freaking going on for as long as it did, because of this. But the only thing I can see here from saying, as most mods do, they just want to continue to sell it. Well, why would you want to buy a fucking game that gets less watered down fucking version of the game compared to Xbox and PC? Who would want to do that? As a consumer, that's dumb. It's completely dumb. And even, let's think about it. Let's really think about what you're saying here when you say it's useful. You're trying to make an excuse for essentially what they're doing is they've done their best. That's what they've done their best arguing with Sony, but they caved in and they gave as much as they would accept, which is only within the realms of the environment of the game you can do things with it. However, that fucks over creativity almost entirely. You'll be nothing but just fucking nuka world armors. Look, when I played the PC, and I put all the mods together, my character looks like a fucking ninja hooded badass marine soldier with a jetpack that functions, and I don't have to stick myself into a fucking power armor suit. So I can do as much role playing as I fucking want. I don't have to make the choice that, oh, this is better. No. Much as I really just simply, at the time, when I first got into it, I just wanted to have blister weave on things that would make, sense. Right? Paladin Brandis's jet black EOS officer's uniform. Why the fuck hasn't it got bloody blister weave? So I can just use that, because it looks fucking cool, but no, can't do that. The marine wetsuit, again, another really cool thing that looks good on its own, but can't be blister weave, so I can't just use it on its own. If I tried that, I get fucking killed. So, what are you trying to say? That this is acceptable? No, it's kind of like being in a gigantic family of like 12 kids, and all the oldest are getting the fresh new shit, and the kid on the end is saying, well, we can't spend that much money, so here, you can have the second-hand shirts from your older brother, and you just have that. That's what it feels like to be a PS4 user for Fallout now. You're getting a watered-down version of it. If you buy the Skyrim version, it's the same problem. How much? Let's be real here. I looked at all of these really cool mods, and I think that Fusion City, despite I think the mod author asked me to rank it a new one, given the title he suggested, but I personally think that it. Bear in mind, I played it long after its release, and it's been patched multiple times since then. So I personally probably don't really know any of the bugs in the original, but I thought it was well put together. I really loved the main quest line, and in the end of it, well, this is for another topic and another video, but I felt that Vault-Tec management was a bit out of context. They just popped out of nowhere, like teleport in, but I suspect that they're either going to be making it as another antagonist for another major quest line, because I know that I think it was Mason is going to become a companion in the future. And I believe that's what they are trying to get at. And I look forward to it. I want to see more of this conspiracy, because you see hints of it here and there with Insect, with the security personnel. They had this backroom door, and they even had the university speaker talking about that. I love to see that, but imagine that, and it has voiceover and audio and custom modifications to clothing. Where am I going to see that? No, not on a fucking PS4. I'll see it on Xbox. And fork out the money. EB Games, the equivalent of bloody GameStop. I know how much the Americans fucking hate them. Well, it's not much different here, except we pay $100 for brand new games as opposed to just a measly $60. And anyway, what happened with them? I believe that as soon as they announced this bullshit about not having PS4 mods, just before they announced this, they just simply, they were trying to offload some of the Xbox Ones, the older models, and they put fucking Fallout 4 as a bonus game, and they were selling it for like $300-something. That's pretty cheap. Trying to offload brand new consoles, but let's be honest here, when Xbox One released, and of course all the shit they were trying to create a monopoly and get into your private life, some of the crap that they were trying to put on it, focusing on fucking TV or something. I'm not surprised, but think about it. They're capitalizing on it. So what are we doing here? It's clear that they knew that this was a silly idea. So now when you think about that back then, even now, would you still want to get a PS4 in favour so you could just play a PS4 Fallout 4 mods, which is to say a more economic version of, say, getting on a PC platform? Now, my computer can barely handle Fallout 4 at the moment. Even with recording, it's worse. So I'm doing a Let's Play I just uploaded, and it's choppy because of the fact that I simply my system can't handle it. So I'm working on getting a PC to do it, but that's expensive. It's going to cost roughly $2,000. With it, talking to the right people, and I can get a computer that's top notch for $2,000. If you actually fucking put the work in, you can get reasonably cheap and affordable, but still expensive. It is. You don't have to go 20 fucking grand or insane. But here's the thing. It's still better to have a console option when you can't, not everyone's fucking rich. So now there's one console that's been, for the most part, reliable for not fucking the consumer over, and they fuck the consumer over. Well, at least for reasons I suspect, just based on what they've done here, for the right reasons. It's not like they were doing it because without good reason, but they're not going to play, from what I can tell, they're not trying to play it off as the best decision. They're doing it as a necessity to protect you as a consumer from dickheads like the guy that fucking picked up Angry Planes, who put that little bit of Trojan horse in there so he could steal from YouTubers, from Twitch streamers. That was disgusting, kind of that repulsive kind of behavior that upsets communities like this. And the fact, and like I mentioned before, modding community and Bethesda is famous for simply fixing a lot of the problems that Bethesda just doesn't fix. So, looking at that, I can understand Sony's reaction. I can understand their compromise. I can understand they're trying to play off so they can sell more shit. But as a consumer, it makes no fucking sense, even with this version, as little as it is, it makes no sense to get a PS4 Fallout 4 version like right now. There's no point. So why would you want to get Skyrim up, which is going to get the exact same type of fucking mod support? Watered down, no external assets. How much of you bet that a lot of the mods that use a lot of like a less beautiful bodies mod? Some of the most popular mods on there are all some way customized or different or use external assets. Or some of this, Tales of the Commonwealth, I would say, it's got some of the best voice acting I've ever experienced. Even Maxwell's mod, even when it was buggy, I loved the voice acting. It was spot on, and it really set the mood for what we're going up against. You look at Fusion City, even though there's a little bit of a tiny little pinch of echo, but it's still really good. You're never going to see that. Maybe you'll get a version of how a Maxwell mod does it with the protagonist, where you just have subtitles, but on both sides, that feels a little bit off. I don't mind with the protagonist. After all, you want to roleplay a bit more. Okay, it applies a bit more. Having no voice to it is a bit more like Gordon Freeman's version, or Val's Gordon Freeman, where you can be more of who you are, rather than focusing on an external character with personality. You can insert more yourself into that role. But why would you want to go out of your way, fork out money, and waste your time on that? If anyone bought Fallout 4 or Skyrim for the sole purpose of this, you're getting screwed over. That's it. It's bullshit. I don't care if you get the option to. You could fix it theoretically. A lot of, like, for example, the armored resource mod, where you can add like legendaries and things like that, do uniques. If you get rid of anything that's external and get rid of the external features and just make a copy of the armored workbench, then you could get away with that technically. You can get away with that, but it's just a numbers game. It's just making modifications to properties and existing items. It's not adding anything new or aesthetically pleasing. It's got no creativity to it other than a little bit of modification. I don't see it happening. You can't play that off and call that okay. That it's the best thing we're going to get, and it's sad, and I can understand. And Bethesda's obviously put their effort in to try and convince Sony to do otherwise, but both ends have simply just won't compromise on it. What one wants them to do so much of moderating and bug testing on their end. It's too fucking expensive. On their end, they don't want their system compromised. Potentially, they could use mods to try and understand the architecture a bit better, so they can break down the console from there. I think for the most part, they still haven't really broken it down that much on PS4. I think I'm not completely up to date when it comes to that kind of stuff, but I will say that it's lasted a fair while compared to previous generations. So I can understand on so many fronts how this has turned out, and it sucks for everyone because this is as good as it's going to get. At least when I go to the PS4, I've got an economic version that runs without chopping, and I can at least put ballista weave on the fucking Paladin Brandis's officer's uniform and the Marine wetsuit. But that's fuck all. And even like, Xander's 8, I think to some extent you could get away with. You wouldn't be able to have the retexture. You can't even do retextures. That's not even going to happen. So you'll still be stuck with somewhat mediocre textures. But yeah, for the most part, they just changed the colors on the alien gun, and I believe that the nuclear minigun that comes with it as well is also just another little bit different, and properties have been designed that way. You could get away with that. I think that That's as far as it gets, really. But that has voiceovers as well with Xander's Aid, and there's other characters that have voiceovers. Fasco, for example, has voiceovers. So that goes, and it becomes just subtitles. That's the only way I can see. I'm hoping that's not the case. Maybe, just maybe, audio files are okay. One can only hope. But I bet you that even that would be too much for them. And if that's what happens, that's all we're going to get. It upsets me to no end, but what are you expecting, though? I don't know. I personally will be focusing on getting that computer ready, because I've got so many other different projects I want to get onto. I could play so many other games a bit better that way. I've always got the PS4 for other games that just run better. Let's be honest, there's been releases out there on the PC just shit in comparison to some of the console releases. So my PS4 is not going to go away anytime soon. It's just that for a Fallout 4 wise, it really isn't worth my time to just sit there with a watered down version of it and then think that, no, I probably will still abandon it. I'd rather be able to play Fusion City when it gets even further, when it's extended. I'd like to see. Oh, actually, I'm going to make a video on what I'd like to see as a story. That I don't want to be in that position where I'm telling mod author what can go on. I would make suggestions, but I think that the creativity of what I've seen was brilliant. And we're never going to see that on the PS4. Never. On PC, yes. So at least it's, for the most part, if I'm not recording something or trying to do something it's too extensive, it's playable. Especially when it's cooler. When everything's cool, for the most part, it runs steadily without too much chopping, and I can still enjoy things. So that's how far I go. That's how much I don't want to play a game with the lack of mod support compared to, say, PC and Xbox. And I suppose in some ways, at least I won't have to worry about one of the mods being uploaded destroying my fucking console. So there's that. And to be honest, though, if I was only ever going to bloody put, because of the nature of what people do to other people, I'd probably only build my own things and then put them in. So I don't know. I really just don't know. I don't think anyone's to blame for this situation. I think that human nature is really what got us here. Sony doesn't want to have their consumers fucked over, or their IP for that matter. Bethesda work really hard for the consumer base because they know how much modding is important, but only really achieve the particulars. And in some ways, it's somewhat insulting because it means that working for free and the privilege of passion is just bug testing and fixing bugs. That's something that someone paid should be doing. That's not our job. The only reason people fix those things is because they love the game so much, they just don't want it to be left aside in a buggy state. And thank God for them. But it's just not right. I don't know. No one should feel anything about this. It's just, don't expect it to be extraordinary for that nice. I don't know. I'm really disappointed. When I saw some of the first couple of videos, like from people like Star-Lord and ESO, and then only to read I went on Kotaku first, and then Polygon. I know they're rubbish, but that's my personal opinion, and I don't feel that they have the ethics that I would expect of a journalistic ethics that I expect. But I already checked the main website page, and yeah, it's from Bethesda themselves, their own mouths. It's pretty much confirmed that modding support is what it is. Yeah, I'll leave it in the description. You can read it, but I don't know. Well, that's me, Possible. I'll see you guys on the next one.